What a beautiful day to have taken profits. What's going on, guys? It's Ricky with TechBot Solutions. Let me make something very clear. We talked about this yesterday. A lot of people got very excited, especially with NVIDIA and the way that it reported earnings. And let's be honest, it did exceed market's expectation, but you cannot be surprised by today's pullback. This, like all the red flags were there. Every other big tech company, when it exceeded market's expectation for earnings, it still ended up selling off. So I think it was very clear. Regardless, no one could have predicted this. So, you shouldn't be offended or anything like that. It's just, it really caught me by surprise how when NVIDIA pushed up, everyone went to go celebrate, be like, oh, the AI bubble recession is canceled. Really? Just a few hours of a pump and all of a sudden, you think that the downturn that we've been experiencing is just gone? The uncertainty is just gone? But I think that is what's leading to this significant pullback is that markets got ahead of themselves. They tried to pump up. And as soon as that we began to break our pattern and break structure, we began to retrace. Now, NASDAQ is beginning to show signs of a support here. I just announced it to my LPP team that now it's oversold enough that I'm looking to possibly go long as an intraday play if we get confirmation. I just think that today is a great example of never getting ahead of yourself. It's not your money until you take profits. And there's no reason to celebrate just one day of a pump because that does not define a market reversal. Just imagine if markets are incredibly bullish and markets pull back one day and be like, yep, told you, right? Markets are selling off. No, I've made it very clear, even with weeks of markets selling off, that, hey, overall market direction is still incredibly bullish, larger time frame. There's no reason to, get ahead of yourself when it comes down to that. So what makes this any different is, we pushed up to the moving average and then now we're right back down to the same previous support, if not making actual new lows. And the thing that I love about this is that it's the most speculative stocks that are seeing some of the biggest corrections today. Look at this. My absolute favorite stock to short in the world, MSTR, makes new 52-week lows, trading at lows of 174, down 6.5%. Once again, proving that MicroStrategy and anything Bitcoin related is one of the worst investments you could have made in 2025. Oklo, as of right now, is down 11.1%. Again, a very speculative stock. Not to say that it can't recover, as again, anything can happen, just saying, and the proof is in the pudding, right? It's always the most speculative stocks that see the hardest and biggest retracement. We got Open down 3.6% on the day. We got HIMS down 4.95% on the day. We have Robinhood down 8% on the day. But then Meta is only down 0.5%. So I think this is a great example that you should never be scared to be invested, even with NVIDIA. NVIDIA is down 1.5%, but we can tolerate 1.5%. That's why I love investing in big tech. Even when it's overbought and overvalued, I might not invest in it at those levels, but when markets pull on back and I see something to be a good deal, I'm not afraid to jump into it because worst case scenario, it's much easier to manage and mitigate risk because it moves a lot slower. Remember, these speculative companies are speculative for a reason. They're high risk, high reward plays. And if you're a beginner and if you're tired of getting burned, then please learn from your mistakes. It's always these companies that pump up the hardest that will crash the hardest. Because remember, let me make this very clear. We've said it from the very beginning. The speculative companies are always the highest risk plays. And during uncertain times, those are the ones that investors sell first. Very simple. It's more of the bulletproof companies that they keep their money in and or begin to reduce their size in, but at least there's not as much panic selling with those companies because at least there's fundamentals to kind of sustain those, valuations in comparison to a lot of these speculative stocks that are pre-revenue or actually lose hundreds of millions of dollars or have no actual business like MSTR. Yet they're pumping up for no reason, or at least in MSTR's example, it was because it's not anymore. Again, please be very careful during uncertain times. Like Warren Buffett says, that is the moment to be, during greedy times when markets were pushing to all-time highs, those are the times where you want to be, greedy and uncertain about that potential pullback and reversal. And now that things are beginning to pull on back, hopefully this could encourage you that if you prepared, it's not about predicting, but it's about preparing. As markets begin to pull on back, you can build your list of good quality companies that you want to be invested in, as better deals are sound to present themselves. So I'm very excited to follow up. I just wanted to keep you guys up to date. There were a series of reports that were released today. I'm sure many of you guys have seen them when it comes down to the initial claims, continuing claims. We had non-farm payrolls all be released, and then we had the unemployment rate coming in a little bit higher than what was expected, and existing home sales. So there were a series of reports that were released. Nonetheless, again, let's keep it very simple. Markets were overbought. They corrected themselves because they got ahead of themselves. Now they've corrected themselves possibly enough that they could begin to consolidate and show signs of a support. Remember, if direction is unclear, never be afraid to stay cash during an uncertain time. And again, if you're more of an investor or swing trader during uncertain times, build a list of stocks that you would like to invest in so you can begin to chip away at that once the opportunity or your criteria is actually met. Again, we talk about these concepts every day with our Learn Plan Profit team. You can still try to figure it out all on your own, or if you want to watch me trade live every morning, then you can join our LPP team, and that's that second link in the description down below if you want a little discount, and you can join us as soon as tomorrow. I appreciate your time. Like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take care, team.